What's going on, everybody? Happy New Year and welcome to the first episode of the Building the Village podcast of 2026. This is episode 55. And as always, I'm your host, Dr. Brandon W. Jones, your chief village building strategist. And today we're going to be talking about the art of showing up. I got a question for you. When was the last time somebody truly showed up for you? I mean, think about it. Take a moment and reflect and think about what made that feel so special for you when that person showed up to your graduation or they showed up to a pivotal moment in your life, or you had a need? What made that special for you? What made that stand out? And the reason why I'm having you reflect on that is because we need people to show up for us, and we need to show up for people in the village. But before we get to the key points for today, I need y'all to do me a favor, especially if this is your first time visiting the village today. Listen, if you're getting something from this content or you like what you're hearing, make sure you do a couple things. Number one, make sure you click that like button on this particular episode. Secondly, make sure you leave a comment. Let me know what you're getting from the episode. And more importantly, if there's a friend, family member, coworker, or somebody that you think could get something out of this, make sure you share it with them too. And regardless of where you're listening from, whether it's YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening or watching from, make sure that you do those same things on those different platforms. Okay. So there's a couple of things that I'm going to be talking about today as it relates to the art of showing up. And it's three things, and I'm going to give you all three of them up front, and then I'm going to unpack them. Number one, you got to pull up, right? The second one, you got to speak up. And then last but certainly not least, you want to hang out. Let's talk about what each of those things mean. First of all, when we talk about pulling up, we're talking about being physically present and engaged in space. Because here's the thing, presence is a very powerful thing. One, because proximity helps to build trust. If I'm allowing you in my proximity, in my inner circle, in my home, in my place of safety, or in my circle of influence or reach, then that means I trust you. And so proximity can help do that, but I can't build on that if I'm not physically there. And so presence is a powerful thing. And sometimes it's not always physical, but in this instance, I'm talking about where possible, emphasizing physical presence. Because again, it's not just about being there, and it's not just about sending a text or emoji. It's about being present. Presence communicates value. Let me explain what I mean here. Presence means that, to put it another way, you matter so much to me that I've rearranged my schedule. I've rearranged my life. I've made some adjustments to my day, to my traffic route going home so that I can stop and check on you. Or because you were sick, I brought you some soup. Or I matter so much to you, you took time to not only text me, but you took time to actually come and physically be present with me. In the village, showing up physically whenever possible is monumental, y'all. And so a couple of examples that I would share with you all as to how this can mean something when it talks about physically pulling up. It's showing up to the graduation or to that football game. You know, as a student pastor, I get an opportunity to go to a lot of graduations. I go to a lot of sporting events. I go to a lot of plays and dance performances, but also I've had to go to funerals. I've also had to show up to some hospital visits, and that's my job. But also I want to communicate to parents and family members and friends and loved ones that you matter so much to me that I'm going to pull up, especially if I've got the time to. And even if I don't, I'm going to rearrange my schedule to do that. Another way of pulling up is being in the room when it's uncomfortable or inconvenient. Sometimes you got to have a difficult conversation with somebody, and some conversations are better suited in person, because, we've all talked about the dreaded breakup text message, because this generation, I don't know what's up with y'all breaking up with text messages, but that's neither here nor there. Being in the room when it's uncomfortable or inconvenient, that's a big deal. And that communicates value. That communicates urgency. That communicates that you're important. And another example is leaders showing up for their people physically and not just emailing them. If you lead an organization and one of your staff members loses a parent or loved one is going through a difficult time, showing up for them is great. Not just sending a card signed by everybody in the office, but if you're able to go to that funeral, or if they're going through something difficult, inviting them to lunch so that you can physically be there with that individual. And here's the truth. You can't really support what you refuse to show up for. And so I want to encourage you, when possible, in the village, in the community, in the organization, in the group you find yourself in, make sure that you pull up. Here's the second point. The second point, when it comes to the art of showing up, is going to be making sure that you speak up. Now, this is pivotal because in the village, your voice is a part of the village, not just your physical presence. We want to hear your voice. And here's the thing. Silence sometimes can be just as harmful as absence. And so I want to encourage you all, wherever you find yourselves as part of the Building the Village family, is to think about the importance of the voice that you have. And so when you're able to speak up, when you're able to talk and make meaningful conversation, speaking up allows you to be an encourager. And you're able to encourage individuals when they're dealing with difficult things. We need encouragement in the village. We also need accountability in the village. And yes, actions are good when we're trying to hold each other accountable, but also being able to speak up and say something about what I've seen or what I'm experiencing is also a great and powerful tool to make a good village. So use your voice to advocate for what you need or for what others need in the village, to affirm the people you're interacting with on a regular basis, but also use your voice to protect. Sometimes we got to say something and use our voice when something isn't right. Another thing we need to do is make sure that we speak life and not just criticism and critique all the time. If all we're doing in the village is critiquing each other and criticizing each other, there's no life-giving vocal movement happening in that space. And honestly, personally, that's a space I really wouldn't want to be a part of. To the coaches listening to this, are you speaking life into your players? Or is it just constant critique, constant criticism? To the supervisor watching this episode, are you speaking life into your staff? Is this something that you can implement into your daily regimen? Because pulling up and speaking up are powerful things, but we don't want to just be critical. Now, there's some ways to speak up, calling out potential in someone who doesn't see it yet. Think about how powerful that is to tell somebody, hey, I see greatness in you. I see a preacher in you. I see a great writer in you. And you call that out. And then years later, they write their first book, or they go and act on Broadway, or they believe you and they start that business and they start that company. Calling out potential is great in the village because the village benefits when we do these things. Our voices are powerful. Now, on the other hand, our voices can be destructive too. And so we want to be careful. So at times we might have to interrupt that harmful joke. We might have to ask questions about those seemingly negative comments that might come up. Or if there's a narrative that's out there about something or someone in the village, we may want to disrupt that a little bit by using our voices. And instead of doing those things, try saying, hey, I see you. Think about how powerful that is to a little kid that thinks that they're invisible. Hey, I see you. Hey, staff member, I believe in you. And I believe in you so much that we're going to do X. Or in a measure of accountability, you know what? That really wasn't okay. All of these are powerful ways to go about using your voice to make a difference in the village. So you want to pull up. You want to speak up. Now, here's my favorite one. I love this one, y'all. This third point was my favorite one. You got to hang out. Now, we talked about pulling up and being physically present, and all of those things are great because you definitely want to pull up. You can't hang out if you don't pull up, right? And yes, I know somebody out there is saying, but Brandon, you can also hang out online, and that's cool too. However, relationships are stronger and relationships are built in the in-between. It's that mutual respect. It's that's that dialogue. I almost said inner dialogue. It's that dialogue between individuals where I can look you in the eye and I can share with you what's on my heart and my mind, or I can listen to what you have going on. Community, listen to this. Community is formed in those unstructured moments. Because think about it, if I always have an agenda, if every time we interact, there's always a task list to complete, that's transactional. And we want to move from being transactional to being transformational in the village. There's nothing wrong with certain transactions needing to take place. I have to check that book out from the library. That's a transaction. I have to go to the grocery store and pay that bill and pay for those groceries. Those are transaction. But transformation occurs in those moments that are unscripted, where we're joking and we're laughing together in healthy ways, where we're talking about the seemingly mundane and identifying our commonalities as well as our differences. Hanging out builds trust without an agenda. Think about the power of being able to crack jokes with somebody to the point where your ribs are hurting and you trying to catch your breath, or you're able to share a meal with somebody. It's hard to fight over food. I'm just telling y'all, it's really hard to disagree and fight somebody over a meal because I'm getting too full. My mouth is full. We ain't got time to be arguing. And so think about that. And also, y'all heard me talk about in the previous episode, play. Do something fun together. All of those things are informal ways to create psychological safety, because if I can laugh with you, there's a version of psychological safety that's present there. If we're spending time together, we're sharing a meal, and we're doing things in an unstructured way, I'm not trying to guard myself all the time. Now think about it. How many of you who are watching and listening to this right now are pretty guarded around people? How many of you, anytime you hear me talking about the village, you're getting a little social anxiety because you're like, I don't really trust people? Listen, relationships deepen when we're not always on mission. I'm going to say that again. Relationships deepen when we're not always on mission. And that goes back to what I was just sharing about, like, ditch the agenda for a quick second. Sit down and just get to know each other. Talk about your day. Talk about the things you don't like. Talk about the latest episode of your favorite show. Find out the things you have in common, and find out where it's like, we might be a little bit different here. So do some things like host a game night. Nothing brings out competition and a little anxiety like a game night where you sit down and you and some friends, y'all playing Monopoly, or you're inviting someone over, or you all are deciding to meet up for karaoke, or you're going and doing trivia. Also very competitive, by the way. But also inviting people to a meal, going on a walk with a neighbor, inviting someone for coffee. Stay after a meeting just to connect for a quick second with that person you haven't seen in a long time. Those are great ways to have fun and hang out. But also, when you're present, try to be present without needing to fix this person or to try to teach something. Because if the only time you come around that person in the village is to try to fix them or teach them something, that's going to seem overly transactional. And at some point, they're going to want to stop hanging around you. And so you don't build community in meetings. You don't build community in just these structured, overly agenda-filled gatherings. You build community in moments. And so I want to encourage you to create those moments that matter, because building better villages starts with showing up. And so I'm Brandon Jones, and next time on the next episode of the Building the Village podcast, one of the things that we're going to talk about is what happens when we fail to show up. And so it's going to be a little bit of a continuation of this current episode, but you got to come back and stay tuned for it. So until then, take care of yourselves and each other. Peace. Hey, everybody, if you like today's episode, make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. And then also go to my link tree at B Jones Speaks. You can also follow me on Instagram at B Jones Speaks. And if you're not already doing so, make sure that you're subscribing on YouTube at, you guessed it, B Jones Speaks. See you next time.